Greetings Internet, DDA here, and welcome to my first Cell build that's going to go on my channel. So this is going to be Cell Empowered Mastery. Now I originally built this deck for my brother, but my brother stopped playing the game, so I haven't really gotten too much of a chance to test this out yet. But I have played against a few Empowered Cells as well as many Restored Cells, and I feel like this is going to be a good starting point if you want to build Empowered Saiyan Cell. So let's just scan over the list real quick. So you're gonna see, that phrase that was coined a while ago. What is it? Suicide Saiyan. I built this deck very similar to a Suicide Saiyan build. It really does not contain many blocks or non-combat. So you're gonna be entering combat a ton with this deck. So it actually only has one setup or drill, just Tree of Might. So if you like aggressive builds, this is going to be a good build for you to start out with. So let's start out by going over the attacks. So let's go over the attacks here. So you can see the board hasn't gotten much smaller because we actually run 45 attacks. 45 attacks in this build. 35 physical and 10 energy. So I had a few people online ask me, do I build hybrid? Do I build energy beats? I'll be honest, I don't understand why you would go energy beats. Granted, his level 1 is an energy attack. His level 3 is a physical though, but the most important part is that you are an F on your level 3. You are at 2 million above at level 3. And obviously, you're an F in your top 3 stages on your level 4. You're a strong personality. You're the strongest personality in the game. Why would you play energy beats? And so this deck has 35 physicals. Starting off here with elbow drop. Some people online were saying that this card is falling out of flavor. No idea why again. Maybe in rampaging when your mastery isn't giving you 3 stages every time you hit an attack. But I'm getting 3. The only downside to this card is that it costs a stage. It's a double physical. It gives you 2 anger. It puts, it's like, it generates you card advantage in the sense that it's 2 attacks. It's like having 2 plus 3 physicals in your hand. And it's very easy to make this attack do about 9 damage. So why would you stick your nose up at 18 damage? I don't know. Saiyan left kick, just really solid endurance and 2 anger. You want to level as fast as you can with this deck. So, and it goes straight for the life, which is great, against like Ball 6 or Allied X. Spin kick, great ally tech, as well as anti-anger and 2 endurance. It's hard to not include this card in any Saiyan deck. Saiyan Clothesline, really a big powerhouse card here. If you're an F and your opponent's an A, this attack is innately going to be doing 15 stages of damage. 17 with Tree of Might. So it's just a nice closure. I only run it at 2 because you want to wait till late game. Upward kick is actually working my way into some of my Saiyan builds because more and more stage gain is happening. There's Playful Punch, there's Black Dismissal, Black Power Up, Dragon Ball 5. There's that aerial knee card that the Namekian Cell decks are using. So there's a lot of stage gain, and this is a great card to open up with against Namekian, Black, or other Saiyan decks. Gut Kick, this card, it has to be in a Saiyan Beatdown deck, allows you to do 2 actions, 2 attacks, excellent. Grab, of course, I'm usually stronger, so we'll get an unstoppable card draw from that. And the beauty of running 45 attacks is that we have like a 75% chance to draw an attack? Sounds good to me. Body Blow, of course, we run plenty of attach cards. We run Tree of Might, Rescue, and Tracking Blast. So we want to get those cards on us as soon as possible. So Body Blow. Draining, hey, you know this guy. Level, give me a free level, love it. Backbreaker at 3, we want to shuffle in, a lot more people are using attach cards now, so, against other Saiyan decks, you can shuffle in their cards. And of course, Wall Breaker tech, really, and it's also a double physical, so it's really good. Next, we have here Saiyan Dash. I think people were kind of sleeping on this card when it came out. It can only be stopped by physical, energy, combat, or event cards. So yes, it can be stopped by Time as a Warrior's Tool, but it can't be stopped by the Blue Protective Mastery. It also can't be stopped by things like Blue Guard or the Burning Aura Stance Drill from Orange. So there are a few things that can't stop this, but also hit setups cannot be used this combat. So while a card like, Energy Focus is pretty awesome, you can choose a few cards in play for them to not be able to use, this kind of just helps that further by pushing, the physical beatdown, getting around some cards, and potentially making your opponent not be able to activate any setups that combat, even if you'd bring them into play. Saiyan Surprise at 1, just in case I face Ginyu randomly, or an allied deck, Broku, just so I can pull it out, and I can always recycle it with Rescue. 3 I'll Dig Your Graves is very important for Cell, mainly because you don't care if you level the opponent. You use I'll Dig Your Grave to level Cell up to his 4, and then you can just de-level them. So you want to push your levels higher than your opponent, and it doesn't matter if you level them because you're just going to end up de-leveling them anyway. And I know a lot of people always ask me when I release builds online, what if I don't have I'll Dig Your Graves? We're going to go over that in the bench section. So what if you don't have I'll Dig Your Graves? Don't worry, don't fret. So those are the physicals, 35 physicals. These are the energies. We got 2 Pinpoint Blast. Great against the Namekian matchup. Really good against any deck that runs Dragon Balls. Just solid to pull with the level 4 just for that instant crit. 2 Energy Focuses, same deal. It blanks 3 cards on the field, so if you're facing a strong orange or a blue deck, you can just blank some of their cards. 3 Saiyan Dominations. Every Saiyan deck should be running 3 Saiyan Dominations. And you know that, you see in this deck that we don't run stare downs, we don't run spheres, and mainly that's because of Ki Burst, because they shut down, Ki Burst will shut down our own cards. But also it's because of Domination, because we don't need spheres. Spheres are Domination. Domination are spheres. Domination is a sphere that does 4 life cards and gains us an anger. Really excellent card. Never gonna go lower than 3 in my deck. I only run 2 Ki Bursts because we do need to be a higher level. I contemplated 3. I wouldn't knock anyone for running 3 of this card. It has 3 endurance. You can't go wrong with it. But you're only going to really want it mid to late game, and I can rejuvenate it with Rescue. I can get it back in my life deck to use and tutor with level 2 or level 4 if I need. And 1 Saiyan Tracking Blast, just honestly for the Cell Mirror, for the mirror match. I may up this to 2. I haven't really faced mirror matches with this deck yet, but I may up this to 2 inevitably if I find that matchup to be rough. So these are the attacks we play. Again, 45 attacks, guys. Really heavy aggro deck. So now let's go over the events and blocks. So these are the events and blocks we play. We play, 7 blocks and, 6 events. So really not that many. Like I said, this is kind of like a suicide build for Saiyan. We got 3 Saiyan hand swipes just to push more damage, and it has 3 endurance. That's the main reason we play it. Time, obviously, and then Outrage because it's an Omni block, and it gets us out Rescue or gets us out Tracking Blast. So really good on that. So I haven't really found that blocking is an issue with this deck. I mean, chances are if I'm not facing a mirror match, I'm going to be putting out more damage than my opponent, so I don't really need to block attacks. I can just pound with damage, level, de-level them, not have to worry about it. 2 Saiyan Interruptions. Now for events, 2 Saiyan Interruptions is great just to shut down, keep us in combat, as well as it's a 5-stage physical if we need, if it's an issue, if we don't need to use it. So we can use it as an attack, so that's good on that. I run Defiant Challenge at 1 just because I want to get to my level 3 as fast as possible. So the only method of leveling in this deck is Anger, so I want to draw its Cells Draining as early as possible. If I'm stuck on 1, I don't really like it. If I'm stuck on 2, I'm much happier because the Saiyan tech cards that I can pull out and tutor with, I can handle that. If I'm stuck on 2, I can handle playing the whole game on my level 2. And obviously, if I get to 3, I'm getting to 4. So they have to stop you at 1 or 2 if they're gonna stop you from leveling. And that's what cards like Defiant Challenge are used for. I only own 1 of these. If I had 2, I would contemplate running a second. 2 Overwhelming Power is probably the greatest thing that Saiyan got in this set because it had no real hard board removal besides Intimidation. Now we don't have to play Intimidation. Now we can just play Overwhelming Power. And it's even better with Cell since we can just tutor it out with my level 2 or level 4 ability and then use a critical damage effect. Excellent card. Plus we're the strongest personality in the game. And then obviously Saiyan Rescue at 1. Gotta, you know, rejuvenate those tech cards to tutor out with your abilities and rejuvenate, gain anger. It's great. And we actually only run 1 setup or drill, so we'll just talk about this now. So Tree of Might is just the single setup or drill that we run. We don't run Saiyan Enraged, and I like Saiyan Enraged, don't get me wrong. It's going to be on my bench as we go over in just a second. But I wanted to build an aggro deck. I don't want any non-combats. I don't want to draw any non-combats in my hand. I want to just go into combat almost every turn and just put tons and tons of pressure and anger and leveling on the opponent. So we only run that 1. Alright, so now let's go over the bench cards. Cards that we would like to work in our deck but didn't find the room. Alright, so these are the bench cards that we're going to go over. Cards that we would, like to include in our deck, but we didn't. Cell Style. Why didn't I include Cell Style in this deck? Well, it's an event and a non-styled card, so I don't play spheres. I tried to stray away from events to make my opponent's spheres useless. So this is just giving me a card that my opponent could sphere. As well as, this card is amazing in some matchups. Amazing in some matchups. Like against Raditz, it's really good. Against, obviously, Krillin and Master Roshi, it's really good. But against many of the other personalities, it's not that good. It just gives you an attack, takes a card away from them, sure. Doesn't give you anger usually, doesn't give you stages with your mastery. And if you get the mill effect, it's terrible. The mill effect is good for like maybe defensive control-y decks like Black. But if I'm doing only 3 damage with this card in this deck, that's bad. Because I only run 7 blocks. Every card that I play has to do at least, 5 to 10 damage. It has to have high damage because I'm not running many blocks. I'm not mitigating the damage from my opponent's attacks. I need to have high damage attacks. So if I don't pull an attack card with Cell Style, it sets me back massively. So I ended up dropping it. It doesn't give me anger. I wanted more consistency. Saiyan Peace would really be in here for the mirror only. And I don't know how hard the mirror match is going to be with this deck. But, we have Tracking Blast for the mirror, as well as we have Cell's natural lowering ability. So I didn't see the Saiyan Peace as necessary. But if the mirror ends up being a difficult matchup, I would add in Saiyan Peace. I guess the 2 cards you could say if you don't own I'll Dig Your Grave would be the cards that you'd want to consider are either Phase Strike or Saiyan Enrage. Because the point of I'll Dig Your Grave is to level you. That's the reason you play it. So if you don't have them, then you can either play Phase Strike if you want to go aggressive to gain you 3 anger, possibly giving you a card draw if they're stupid enough to stop it. Or if you're okay with adding in a setup, we don't play any, we only play Tree, but if you're okay with adding 1 in, or 2 copies of Saiyan Enrage, just to give you that instant level up, that'd be good. Plus it'll give you a card draw. I really like Saiyan Enrage in this deck, but again, the only reason it's not in this list is because I want to be aggro. And last card to consider, Saiyan Rapid Fire. Really strong if you wanted to go a little bit more hybrid beats. If you were feeling like the physical beats weren't working out for you, you wanted to go a little bit more hybrid, the card I would add in would be Rapid Fire. It's really strong. And yeah, it's just a really solid bread and butter card. So that's it for your bench cards. So now let's go over the general strategy. So now let's go over a general strategy, how to play with this deck. So you're going to start off level 1. You're pretty strong on your level 1. So if you're facing like a control deck, especially if you're facing Yamcha, you want to go aggressive. Yamcha is pretty easy for us, easy for this deck, because if you enter on him, you can open up with a physical attack, then he'll do his power, then you can just respond with your energy to put on even more pressure. He'll probably have to respond with his Protective Mastery to stop your energy. Then you can either do something like, elbow drop to just run into his block, and then you're good for the rest of the combat to hit, maybe a couple attacks, like 2 or 3 attacks on him. So against Yamcha, go aggressive. Roshi, typically go aggressive. Against Roshi, you really need to be level 2. If Roshi sticks you on 1, then it's going to be a really rough game for you. You need to have the level 2 to be able to tutor out cards that you need to answer his board, like Overwhelming Power and Domination and Energy Focus. Against an aggressive deck, you may want to pass and rejuvenate a few times. Just rejuvenate, if you're facing like a Ruthless deck or, Turles or Trunks or something aggressive. If you're facing an aggressive deck, you may want to pass a few times just to gain like 1 or 2 anger, just to ensure that you're going to be able to level to 2 in the first combat. You should be able to hit 2 in the first combat of every game, if not level 3. If you draw on a draining, you may be able to jump right to 3 in the first combat. Sadly, unlike Namekian, you're not going to be getting to like level 4 in the first combat, or you're not going to be like, leveling to level 4 immediately every game. Yes, the leveling is slower in Saiyan, but what we give up in Saiyan, what we gain is we gain amazing tech cards, which Namekian does not have. So once you're on this 2, there's basically 2 modes you can go. You can use the power to be aggressive, and if you're using the power to be aggressive, you want to grab elbow drop, gut kick, or body blow, depending. If you've already body blowed once and you already have your tree on you, you may not want to go body blow, you may want to go gut kick, or you may want to go elbow drop. If you're facing like a strong energy beats deck like Tien, go elbow drop. He's not really going to do stage damage to you, and he's going to need his stages. So if you're facing a really strong control deck, go gut kick, because you're going to be able to at least get 2 actions in then. If you want to go techie with him, so that's aggressive. If you want to go techie with him, facing an allied deck, get the Surprise. Ki Burst and Domination are always top of the list if you want to go techie. Domination being able to shut down 2 or 3 cards of your opponent's life hand, as well as Ki Burst. Other techie things you can get Pinpoint Blast, you can get Energy Focus. Pinpoint Blast doing the auto crit, if you want to get rid of an ally, if you want to steal a Dragon Ball. Or if you want to just blank cards on the field, you can do that. If you're scared, if you're facing Turles, get Saiyan Outrage. Why not? I mean, if you're afraid of, like, if you really need your stages, if you want your stages, if you feel like he's going to push out a lot of damage this combat, grab an Outrage. Interruption's always good to grab against, like, Black Krillin. They have a power up on the board. Grab Interruption. Or Overwhelming Power, especially if you can utilize the critical damage effect. So you can just see, like, look at all these options you have. Namekian doesn't have this. Namekian can choose basically between a few physical attacks that it can use, and that's it. But Saiyan has answers to everything, and that's why we play Saiyan Cell. So once you hit 3, it's gonna, you're on 2, you're tutoring out, you're doing damage. You're okay once you hit 3, and then once you hit 3, you're 4, and then you just start running the train. Every turn, you tutor out one of these guys with your power. One of these amazing cards, or, obviously you're going to go aggressive. You want one of these guys. Rejuvenate with Rescue every turn to revitalize your deck and add cards back in that you need to tutor. Drop down, and the power of Cell, of course, is that you basically once you hit 4, you're gaining 2 cards of advantage. Because you're getting a card with the 4 power, you're lowering your opponent a level, and then you're getting another attack for 7 life cards. So it's like it's like 2 cards, even more than 2 cards over your opponent because you're de-leveling them. So it's like 2.5 cards, which is why Cell is so strong. So I hope you liked my Saiyan Empowered Cell build. Again, I haven't looked at deck lists online. I haven't gotten to test this out too much yet. But I feel like if you're just building out Cell Empowered and you want a working point, this is a good starting point for you. Tailor it to your needs and tailor it to your meta. So, and I hope you enjoy, guys. Stay tuned for more decklist videos. Please don't hesitate to hit that like button if you like this video. And as always, turn your dial to Random Number Gaming for weekly updates for the Dragon Ball Z card game.